What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey,
What's
fam.
up?
What is going on?
We live, fam.
We are
What up?
back in the building. It's in the Mass Media Group. And yeah, we got a full squad today. Yep,
Oh, I love that.
yep. It's in the house. So yeah, fam. So welcome, Chris, again. It's been a minute since you've been back to the platform. What's going on with you, bro?
Yeah, man. Yeah, hey, man. I be busy. I be trying to make moves here and there. Plus, I know yourself and CO and Kim, y'all hold it down 100% strong every single time. So a lot of times y'all don't need me because y'all just take it to the extra level where it need to be anyway. But I'm definitely glad to be here today to do this recap show and to talk with y'all and build with y'all and just vibe and show love. And what's up to everybody in the chat, by the way? What's going on, Darlene? What's up, Reps? I see you. What's up? Put your name in the chat. Say what's up in the chat if you in here. Happy Sunday. What is good?
All right, so we're gonna go through some in-house, and then Chris, if it's okay, man, I wanted to go through some of the subpoena list to see if you had any additions to it before we actually, talk about the eligibility stuff that's been happening the last few weeks. If that's okay, brother.
Yeah, that's cool. I would definitely add any ideas and any thoughts that I could think of.
All right, cool. All right, family. So, speaking of Chris, he is going to be on the Information Man show. See if we can pull that up. Yes, next Sunday, 2 p.m. with Chris Lodgson.
Oh yeah. Big shout out to the Information Man. Big love. Brother called me up yesterday or the day before yesterday, something like that. It's like, yo, bro, I need you up on there. I need you up on there. So I am honored, blessed, happy, excited to be checking in and going into build with that brother, amazing show, amazing content as always. A big love to the Information Man. If you're not subscribed to his platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google, Spotify, he's on Roku also. Go check that man out. Make sure you're there next week. I think that's next Sunday, 2 p.m. on the Information Man show.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. As a matter of fact, if you go onto our channel, Chris and the Information Man had a great build. I think it was at the Reparations rally, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. There was Reparations Valley. Actually, not that picture, but it's at that same location where that picture that's on the screen is, which is up here at the state capitol in Sacramento. And there was a rally for reparations back in, I want to say, I'm not sure when it was. I feel like was it last summer? I feel like it might have been last summer. And the brother Information Man from down in the Bay Area, I think, came up here and built with us and talked about reparations and got a lot of great content. So we had a great build. So I'm looking forward to finally officially gracing his platform. And I was very humbled to be invited and to be a guest on the show. So big love. And yeah, make sure you tune in next Sunday, 2 p.m.
Yeah, for sure, man. We had a good build, man. I'm trying to find the artwork. So, man, if I do find the artwork before we wrap up, we're going to head and post it so people can check that out. Let's see what else is going on. Next Sunday, we're going to have Angela Nirvana as well in the building. Gonna bring that fire.
Yes. Angela always bring the fire, no matter what, no matter where.
Definitely bringing that fire. The reparations perspective, 10 a.m. next Sunday. We're actually going to be talking about the AB 2296 that's currently happening right now. I mean, I don't want to jump all everywhere, but I mean, I guess forget it. That's how we do it, right? We jump, we jump, we jump. Let's briefly talk about AB 2296 and kind of like what's going on with that. It's kind of hectic and it's kind of, I don't know, man. I mean, what's up, fam? What do you guys think about it? Chris, are they actually having the next hearing date on the 6th coming up, or is it
Yeah,
just me? I don't know.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. No, there is it's not just you. You are absolutely right. There was a hearing on Wednesday. I was gonna say May. For some reason I'm in May already, y'all.
May mode.
April. I'm already in May. April 6th. So that's this Wednesday, April 6th. There is a second hearing for AB 2296. Actually, the first hearings, we was at the first hearings. Myself, our good partner here, Kim, our family, Darlene, who's in the chat right now. What's up, Darlene, from the Bay Area squad? Shout out to the whole Bay Area squad, by the way. And we were all at the first hearings for AB 2296. I want to say it was a couple weeks ago. AB 2296, by the way, for those who don't know, is a bill that was introduced to extend the time for the California Reparations Commission, which would be into 2024 instead of 2023, which is when they are officially supposed to end as a whole group now. So that bill had its first hearing last week or a couple weeks ago. It has a second hearing this week coming up. The hearing is going to be in the Assembly, I believe, Appropriations Committee, and it is on this Wednesday, so you can tune in actually to the Assembly website, the California Assembly website specifically, and check out the hearing for AB 2296. It's in appropriations, so there may not be a lot of discussion on the substance of the bill outside of the cost of like how much is this extension going to cost, because the appropriations committee does like cost and money stuff. So like that may be the only thing that's talked about, but you never know. So definitely tune in this Wednesday. We don't know exactly what time the bill's going to be heard, because there are like literally 50 bills being heard that same day, and it's like sandwiched in the middle too of those hearings. So we don't know exactly what time, but it will be heard by the California Assembly this Wednesday.
All right. And so will people be able to call in to vote yay or nay?
People will be able to call in and give public comment on whether or not they support it. Yeah, whether or not they support it.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Yeah.
Have you taken an official position yet, Chris? Or are you waiting to see what goes down on Wednesday?
So I haven't made any public position yet, because I still want to do more research. I still want to talk to some more folks. I still want to talk with our CJEC team and get some more feedback from them. I still also want to talk to the person who introduced the bill. By the way, someone in the chat has it just right. Mr. Joan Sawyer of the California Reparations Commission is the person who introduced this bill to extend the time and term of the California Reparations Task Force by 1 year into 2024. So I still want to talk to Mr. Joan Sawyer's team. I still want to talk to Mr. Joan Sawyer himself and get more of an understanding about why he wants to do this. I still want to talk to you out there in the public and our folks here at ETM Media and our folks also at CJEC to get a better sense of what our thinking is for the pros, for the cons. So there's no official position from myself yet, and there's no official position from CJEC yet, but we are definitely tuned in, and we definitely working on it. And again, we were at the hearings just a couple weeks ago.
All participants are unmuted. Q&A session has started.
All right, brother. So we have actually a caller on the line, so I'm gonna unmute here.
How's everybody doing?
All right, family. So can we hear? So yeah, who's calling?
Hey man, this is Clinton, aka Information Man. I just caught the some of the program. Excuse me. I'm actually in the middle of preparing for a show today, but I am looking forward. I talked to Chris not too long ago on the phone, And I'm looking forward to the discussion and the information to dispel a lot of people's misinformation next week. The real Dana will be on with us too. I've gotten in contact with her, and she will be promoting this heavily on her platform. And I think we really want to promote this heavily because you brothers are going to give and sisters are going to give information that is pertinent, that is necessary. And what bothers me the most on YouTube in particular and social media in general is you have a lot of people trying to attach themselves to the reparations movement for their own personal gain, and they're putting out misinformation, and particularly as it relates to California and just reparations movement overall. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to hear you brothers and sisters dispel the nonsense, because there's nothing like misinformation that leads our people in the wilderness. So I really appreciate what everybody is doing out there on the ground level.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Yeah, thanks for calling in, man. So what? Just real quick. So what do you think about the eligibility? And I know you guys are gonna get more into it on the show next Sunday. But from your perspective, I mean, one, I think you already talked about it briefly on your platform, right?
Yeah, I've talked about it, but I think it was necessary. That was the missing piece, in my opinion, as to being able to truly define, because most people, when they have a criticism about it, they always ask, well, who gets it? People who are naysayers are going to always say, well, who gets it and how much? I was telling Brother Chris, I was on with Joe Brown and Joe Dana just this past week, and he made some statements. Joe Brown, all due respect to the judge, he made some statements that weren't based in actual facts, where he said, well, California doesn't have the money for this and that. And I got on there and tried to correct him and say, well, I live in California. I've been here for years, my elder, and you're actually not correcting what you're saying, because he was basing it off of years ago. And he talked about, well, this is not a new concept. Yeah, but it's never been put to the level that it's going at right now. Yes, Black folks have always talked about the idea of reparations and the importance of it. So I believe that this should be a nail in the coffin of the BS that's out there. And I think it is important to distinguish, because you're going to have people who will try to figure out a way to detach themselves to this particular movement who actually have no lineage. And I know that there are people who have problems, for whatever the reasons are, with Black people born here in America who have lineage to the slavery in this country, who have a problem with us sort of defining ourselves in this manner, because it's always about, well, what about me? What do we get? And let's keep this in mind. Whenever I talk to our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean or in the continent of Africa, in the Caribbean, they have CARICOM. They're fighting right now to get their reparations from Great Britain. You don't see any Black Americans getting involved and telling them what to do with their movement, or brothers and sisters in South Africa who've been fighting to get land back. We're not interfering and telling them what they should do. I think as a people, we are due reparations, but we all have a different fight based on the geographical location and landmass that we sit on. So this is why it is important to distinguish.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. We just posted your link to your YouTube page, so family, go subscribe to our brother information, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And just keep in mind, I have two channels. There's Information Man Show. That's the channel that we're going to be on. And then what you have on the screen, that's the podcast channel that I have. But I do a majority of my content on the first channel, which is Information Man Show. So everybody be on the lookout for that next week. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for letting me call in.
Of course, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Looking forward to it next week, man. It's gonna be fire.
I'll be in contact with you, man. I think it's gonna be a big program, because I'm gonna be putting this out to everybody, and it should, I think, put a lot of closure to nonsense. Thank you.
Right on.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right.
Yeah, that was Information Man in the building. Yeah, family. Let's put up the call number here. know if we could do that. Let's see. Yeah. So
Hey, before you go to the, well, actually, definitely want to get folks to call in. So, folks, family, call in. I think the number is going to be up in a second, but the number is trying. They trying to get the
we're
number.
trying to get there.
Hey, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yo, I just want to give a big shout out to Information Man once again and just applaud him and his work and his following. Give a shout out to his following. Yo, pull up next Sunday, 2 p.m. That's going to be fire. Also, big shout out to the real Dana. Big shout out to the real Dana. I can't wait to be on with that sister. It's gonna be my first time linking up with that sister. I follow her work, love her work for years now, ever since the days with Star. So big love to Dana. Can't wait to meet the real Dana, excuse me. And yeah, this is gonna be a fire show.
Yeah, call in 720-740-9699. Put in that access code 657-2569. That's 720-740-9699. Put in that access code 657-2569, and we will go ahead and get you on. And this is a community right here, community platform, so you have every right to speak your speech. All right, family. So definitely, let's see here. Yeah, brother, it was crazy. I don't know, CO, if you, while we're kind of going through some stuff, I wanted to see if we can go over some of the subpoena stuff, family. If you still have the Google document,
Yeah,
while
give
we're
me a
pulling
second to
stuff.
pull it up.
I appreciate you, fam. Before we go ahead and do that, I wanted to kind of go over the premise of the show today. So it's titled "The Little Red Hen Effect." Reparations can be done. That's what I don't know if y'all have heard this. I don't know if y'all in the chat or people on the panel, my fellow compadres on it. People say, man, I don't know. I just don't think reparations can be done. I mean, I just don't get it. But I don't know, family. Every time I ask somebody, hey, but if they gave out that check, that guap, would you take it? I don't know. What y'all think about that?
Well, I had a friend call me up and she was just like, she's all on board now, but she was just like, I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. She was like, it looks like your work is paying off. She was like, I just did not believe that this would happen. She just could not wrap her mind around the fact that this could become a reality. So I think a lot of people just didn't believe that we would get this far.
I'm sorry, Chris. You about to say something, bro?
No. Yo, first of all, that was a fire. I love the graphics. I love the graphic, yo. Cause so wow, it's such a great point you made, Kim, and I'm happy to hear that, and such a great point you made, Moya, too. Thanks for actually bringing this up. I think there's two ways I would look at this. First, it's like most of our people, I think, that we encounter, let's say when we go out community, when we do outreach, when we do community engagement, et cetera, most of our people don't know a lot about what's going on already. And it's true. We've been here so long that it's not unreasonable, it's not understandable for Black folks to be in some ways discouraged or not believing that this can happen because we've been here so long and it ain't happened yet. So there's some of us that I think we got to give some grace to, because it's just a fact of just us being here so long and it not happening yet. And then there's another group, I think, of us that are in a little bit of a different kind of place where it's like, I don't believe it's gonna happen, and it doesn't make sense to even try. But still, if it happened, I would still take some of it. So those are two groups of people I want to sort of talk about, or at least bring into the conversation, because I think it's not unreasonable to to expect that when you go out and talk to folks, especially folks who are not really exposed to what's been going on online a lot over the past 2, 3, 4 years, then yeah, we can expect that folks are going to be discouraged or even a little bit like not even believing that it could happen. But there is another group of us, like I said, that's a little bit different, because it's like, yeah, I think y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like some of us are like, yo, like it ain't gonna happen, and I don't care what you do, and this is not even fighting for, and blah 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 blah. But if and when it happens, I'll take some of that bread.
Yeah. To be honest, that's what I'm seeing the most. I think there's an older generation, like I was talking to my, like, essentially like what would be my grand uncle, and he was emphatic. No, it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. Like, you're wasting your energy, almost kind of like discouraging me, like that it just went to the core. And I kind of wanted to talk to him about like why he was so emphatically against it. But given the era that he lived through, I get it. But yeah, when I talk to folks here and there, whether it's online or just somebody in the 7-Eleven, and they're like, a lot of people are like, nah, I don't believe it. It's never gonna happen. You know, the US with black folks, they take everything. They're never gonna give y'all anything or us anything. But if it do happen, I'm gonna cash that check. You know, everybody like, oh, I'm gonna cash it. I'm gonna cash it. I'm gonna cash it. And I mean, I think that's indicative of most movements. There are small amounts of people who do the hard work, who do the pushing, who show up every day, who are either pushing in the streets or pushing in the suites, however they go about it. But when it does pass, when there is movement, there's a much larger mass of individuals who take advantage of such. And so that's what I see here. Like, we got those folks who are on the ground, CJAC, NAASD, like folks, ETM are on the ground doing the work. And it's not just us. There are folks all over the country pushing for this work. Uh, but when it happens, yeah, folks gonna cash their check. They're gonna stand in line. They're gonna sign up for them genealogy and get their lineages proven. They're gonna do what they need to do. So we here for all people, whether they riding with us right now or not.
Yeah, and this friend that I mentioned, now that people can see it as a reality, she said she's going to get involved and start tuning into the meetings. And then she was asking me questions about, oh, well, what's the, residency? What about people who move from California? Or, what about this? Talking about lineage. And I'm like, all that has to be determined now. Now that we determine eligibility, we can get to the real work on proposals and establishing residency. So I think a lot more people will be paying attention now that they, can see that it's a reality.
Yeah, one thing I want to add too also is like, so black people, you know how we are. We got to see it to believe it. Y'all know how we are. Y'all know our people. We got to see it to believe it. All right, we are real show me people, show me the results people. So that's true too. And as you just said, Kim, once people start to see it and start to, it's actually real, it's actually could actually happen, then people start to want to get involved. And that's a huge opportunity. Like, let's also keep ourselves open to that opportunity too. Like, as more people start to see it as a reality, especially over this last week when we crossed a big hurdle and crossed a big benchmark in terms of where we got to go next, more people are going to be paying attention, more people will be getting involved, more people are going to see it as actually real, and then they're going to want to get involved and actually help. So let's keep our eyes open to that too.
Facts, family. All right, so I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Little Red Hen at all, but here's the story. I was going to read it, but I'm just really not in the mood for my Barry White voiceover voice right now. So anyway, if y'all ain't familiar with the Little Red Hen, basically the to sum it up, the Little Red Hen works hard and the other animals on the farm are like, look, I ain't putting in that work. And then at the end, the Little Red Hen is like, I did all this work. Now I'm about to eat me some bread, or I don't know, y'all might like some cornbread or some biscuits. I know for some of the I don't like to use the C word, OON, but for those fella into, they like their butter biscuits, with some extra gravy or something like that. But yeah, so the little red hen works hard, gets to the point where got made the bread, and then all the animals are like, yeah, give me some bread. I want the bread too. And the hen's like, nah, I gotta eat it for myself. Cause y'all didn't put in the work. So family, we appreciate you. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in, supporting this movement. And, just shout out for everybody just calling in, and to all the task force meetings, expressing your opinion. We just really appreciate you, because this is really about, the whole community, and I think hopefully when Chris is on the platform with the information, man, that will show, right? Because one of the problems that I see, and I don't know if anybody else wants to put a little context to this as well, is that some people are really fighting for reparations. And I think, as information man was saying, just for the clout reasons, right? Like, oh, how many views and clicks can I get, you know, about this reparations, instead of just putting in the work, you know? It's pretty simple. Reparations is about the whole community. It's not really just about, an individual, because if one person wins in this reparations fight, we all gonna win in this reparations, right? So we got to be 10 toes down. And shout out to Camila. You know what I'm saying? She really just held it down during the task force meeting, and we're actually going to play a clip from her later, because I know she was on MSNBC and so forth. But before we do that, Chris, do you mind kind of going over the April 13th and April 14th task force meeting that's coming up? And I'm going to try to find some
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry,
So nah, bro, you are totally good. So let's let the family know the April hearings of the California Reparations Commission Task Force have been scheduled, and the schedule has been released. So the next meetings of the California Reparations Commission Task Force are April 13th and April 14th. So I'm gonna look at my calendar right now. That's not this week. It's actually the week after this one. So short notice, short order, we coming right back. April 13th and April 14th, Wednesday, April 13th, Thursday, April 14th, started at 9 a.m. And these hearings are 2-day hearings, and they go all damn day. So they from 9 to 5. And guess what, y'all? These are the first in-person hearings. Let me say that again. These are the first in-person hearings of the California Reparations Task Force. And guess where they at? San Francisco. My Bay Area people. My San Francisco people. My Oakland people. My Vallejo people. My Richmond people. My Marin City people. My everywhere in the Bay Area people. Pull up. Pull on up. My Sacramento people. We coming down. San Francisco at the Third Baptist Church, 1399 McAllister, San Francisco, California, 94115, 9 a.m. to 5-ish plus p.m. These are public meetings all day. So pull up, be there. You can also watch them online too. There's going to be a live stream of the hearings of meetings. But if you're in the Bay Area, just pull on up and get to see these California Reparations Commissioners in person. And this is the first time they're going to be in person actually too, and actually meet each other for the first time in person. They've never met. By they, I mean the California Reparations Commission Task Force members have never ever met each other in person. They've never been in the physical location of each other since this Reparations Commission started. So Wednesday, April 13th, Thursday, April 14th, pull up, and there's gonna be a pretty full agenda. You can scroll down a little bit for the family to see what's gonna be on the agenda, because we want the family to see what the other things are. There are a couple of days of hearing, so there's different things going on each and every single day, and there is a lot to be about in this next meeting. I'm gonna give you a quick preview here right now, just a brief overview, brief summary. The first day is largely about education. So what kind of harm, what kind of atrocities have we experienced in the education system here in California, and what do we do about it? And there are 2 or 3 panel witnesses going on. The first panel witness, or the first panel of witnesses, is going to start at around 10 a.m. after public comment. By the way, public comment is always during the first hour of every single California Reparations Commission meeting. So every first hour of the California Reparations Commission meeting, it's public comment. So it's you speak first. We speak first at every single commission meeting. We, the people, the public, the community, the descendants, speak first. So that's the first hour. And then we go right into the first panel of witnesses on education and talk about pre-K through 12. Then we have a panel after lunch that talks about college and professional education. And then after about, a break around 3 o'clock, 3:10, there is a panel on the school to prison pipeline. After that, they're going to do some task force business and talk about the subpoenas, which, by the way, I know you wanted to have some recap and some conversation on today also. So let's definitely get to that. And that's also going to be up on the agenda again during the April 13th hearing of the California Reparations Task Force. Then they are going to break, recess, and then start all over again Thursday morning, 9 a.m. with public comment. The people are going to start talking first, public comment. Then the second day's hearing is mostly about the first report that the California Reparations Commission has to issue by law by June of this year. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chris, real quick. Y'all see my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool.
All right,
Wonderful.
Cool. Yeah,
Sorry.
we are totally good on my side. So as you can see, the second day is mostly about the report that the Reparations Commission has to issue by June. As I was saying, the commission has to, by law, issue a report, a first report of all of its work, all of its findings after meeting for at least one year. And since they started meeting in June of 2021, that due date deadline is June of 2022. And guess what? We coming up on June 2022 right now. So the second day's hearings in April 14th, are going to be about that first report. And that the report's going to be big. It's going to be monumental. It's going to be historic. I know it's over 500, 600 pages already, probably. So we got some work to do out here. Those of us who do community education, those of us who talk to Black folks and break things down so Black folks can understand them here in the state of California and outside of the state of California. Shout out to everybody that's doing great work outside of the state of California. I saw our Be the Power family in the chat too. What's up, family? Appreciate y'all. For those of us who, like y'all, take information that's in books and in materials and in research and break it down for Black folks to actually easily understand. This is going to be a project for us. This is going to be a job for us, because part of our job by law, part of the task force's job, by law, is to educate the California public about what it finds out through this process. So this is the first sort of big job for us, is to break down this 600 plus page report. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1,000 pages and actually get it out to the people and educate the public. So that's what mostly day 2 is going to be about. There's also going to be talk about the community engagement process. So that was a big thing that came up on this week, right? The community engagement process and the communications outreach and the communications firms and the press and all this kind of stuff. So that's going to be up for discussion in April 14th also. And also, by the way, I almost forgot, I believe it's on the, if it's not on the second day's hearings, I may have missed it on the first day's hearings. I believe they're supposed to be, yep, there it is on the first day's hearings. So if you go back up to number 6 on the April 13th, so page 2, number 6, you will see it says potential action item, expert scope of work. So this is about the experts, the economists specifically. It's giving more direction to the economists about their scope of work. And there are some outstanding questions, outstanding decisions that the task force is going to have to make around the question of refining and getting more specific and getting even more detailed on eligibility for residency. So that's largely what that's going to be about. So that's a brief-ish overview of what's coming up in 2 weeks.
Okay, Chris, do we have any idea on the capacity that's going to be allowed into the building? I've had some people hit me up from across the state saying they want to pull up in San Francisco. I mean, if you may go through the trouble to come all the way, across the state to attend this thing, do we have any idea what the capacity is going to be and what the process is getting in? Is it just show up early? Are there, and I'm sure you probably don't know, but maybe this is something we need to find out. Is there going to be social distancing provisions like here at the Capitol in California? In Sacramento, we've showed up and go to these hearings, and we're lucky enough to get the last 3 seats at one of the hearings that we just attended.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Kim. Great set of questions, actually. Direct answer is we don't have the details yet. And this is at a church. This is at actually one of the California Reparations Task Force Commission member home church, Dr. Reverend Amos Brown. This is his home church, his Third Baptist Church of San Francisco. So this is something that is going to be done in his home location, but we don't know the details yet. And as soon as we know the details, of course, we're going to be putting them out on ETM Media and on our websites also too, and also our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. But direct answer right now is we don't know, but we are looking into it, and we will find out, and we will share.
All right, family. Well, there you go. All right, Kim, you got to give. Can you put the firebomb? You got to get the bomb. Can you put the firebomb while I'm looking for the subpoena stuff? Boom. All right, so let's talk about some subpoena stuff. I know, brother, we've been going through the subpoena power, and we have a think tank session. So let me go ahead and share my screen here for the family. So let's see here. Share screen. All right. So, and shout out to CEO in the building for initiating this wonderful document, and thanks everybody for emailing. Hopefully everybody who did email did get this current version of the subpoena power think tank in the building. So once we get it done, we'll probably go through this and just to make sure that any points need to be clarified before we send this over to the task force and DOJ for sure. But Chris, so we're just going to briefly go over some of these industries and organizations that could possibly be subpoenaed. So if there's anything that you see that we should definitely put into this document, definitely let me know. One thing that actually I would like to put is the underneath the media companies. I was just thinking about like what is that called? I'm drawing a blank now. The theaters, right? I'm talking about literally the theater. So I'm just gonna
Like the Lord theaters.
yeah, like the movie theaters.
Oh, those theaters. Okay, I thought you
Yeah,
meant
I don't
like
know.
Shakespeare theater.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. CO, are you in the document right now?
Yeah, I'm in it as well.
Okay. Do you mind? And I'll go ahead and let you do that while I'm on the ones and twos. So, fam, do you mind putting in like movie theaters? Because at the time when Hollywood was developing and so forth, we had a small amount of movie theaters, and I think the Lincoln Picture was one of the first black owned motion pictures, but I don't think, at least as far as California, there were a lot of movie theaters at that particular time. And I could be wrong, but I think actually a lot of the big Hollywood industries actually owned a lot of the theaters at that particular time. So it was like a monopoly. So I was trying to figure that out, if there was like some information in terms of like discrimination for, you know, black folks actually trying to own movie theaters at that particular time. So I don't know if you just at least just want to put in right now just like movie theaters or something like that.
Yeah, drop that in there.
All right,
That's a good idea, actually, because you're right. There was a strong connection between the I think they had a union at the time, but the actors themselves, the movie studios, and then where those movies were distributed to. So it's all intertwined.
Yeah, put studios on there too and sound stages. That's, we need full on production facilities.
And what was the third one you said? Movie theater, sound stages, and
Production facilities, just production facilities. That's all the same.
I'm looking at the list too, fam. So first of all, this is a great list. This is a great list of industries and sectors, right? And you've got and also individual companies and organizations too. And you've got, I think, the right mix here, because you've got banking, you've got hospitals, you've got real estate, you've got agriculture, you've got private prisons, utility companies, media companies, tech, automobile industry companies. You've got education. I think you've got the right mix, and I think you're looking at the right types of industries, the right types of organizations, and then you've got the government agencies obviously also in there too, right? We know that absolutely has to be in there, at least for what we want to see, or what we might be able to include in the list of folks that get a subpoena for information. And I think one thing to keep in mind too is that we have, and we talked a little bit about this. Well, we talked about the hearings coming up on April 6th for AB 2296, but we also have on that same day hearings for AB 1604. So the same day AB 2296 gets heard this Wednesday, one or two bills before or after is AB 1604. And as most of y'all know, but for those who don't know, AB 1604 is a bill here at the state level in California that has language that our team wrote at CJEC that would make California disaggregate and break down the Black/African American category by lineage, and actually start collecting specific data on Black folks who descend from U.S. slavery. So African American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, who are now, as I have been rightly educated for and on, who are now designated and became the American freedmen. So that is happening this Wednesday also. And I'm saying that in the context of the subpoena question, because there is going to be some stuff and some information that is going to come from the subpoenas that's still going to need to be broken down, because the subpoena information, and this is a question too about how far we take this data disaggregation movement, because right now we are requiring, with AB 1604, we are requiring every California state agency to collect specific information on our people finally. And the question for us is, do we want to also pursue something that mandates that private corporations actually break down data? Or is that a decision that only corporations can make? Or can there be some sort of incentivizing from the state on to private corporations to just collect this kind of data in this kind of way? Or if the state is requiring corporations to report in a certain way, maybe public companies, right? Then there are usually public company reporting requirements that come from government agencies. And so maybe it's in the power of state agencies to require even corporations to have some of this disaggregated data. That these are us as we work through the data work going forward this next year. So I love the list. I love the list though. Everything I think, everything I see here is great. Thank you to everybody who sent in ideas for this. Thank you to everybody in the chat, YouTube, comments, everybody who contributed anything and everything to this list, and keep it coming too, because this list still has to get bigger.
I think there'll be more pushback from the corporations. I don't know. Like, can you speak to this that court ruling that just came out Friday, where the corporations didn't want to diversify their boards? And I was like, wait, this sounds like AB 1604, and you had to break it down to me.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, California, this was a monumental week, y'all. And I put this on my tweet, so I'm probably going to just say my tweet. The same week that we made California reparations lineage-based and not race-based, because race-based policies are illegal and unconstitutional in California and federally. The same week we did this, when we had this big, monumental, historic, transformational, generational decision on Tuesday, this victory on Tuesday last, the same week. So today's the 3rd. I think the decision came out the 1st. So that's like Friday. So
and it wasn't an April Fool's joke.
No, right. And it was serious. It was not April Fool's, it was serious. On April Fool's Day, April 1st, an LA judge said that a law that California passed, I believe in 2020, that requires corporate boards to be quote unquote diversified, meaning have at least one member of the corporate board who is not white. That law was put on what they call permanent injunction by an LA judge, meaning it was ruled unconstitutional and stricken down and thrown out because it violated, according to the judge, it violated the equal protection clauses of the United States and of California, expressed through most likely Prop 209, which is Section 31, I believe, of the California Constitution, and also, I believe, the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. So the same week that we said, don't make your reparations race-based, make it lineage-based because it's going to get ruled unconstitutional, a LA court took down a California law because it was race-based and illegal and unconstitutional. So as this week was historic and monumental for a number of reasons, but we set ourselves up for success by the decision that we made this week. And then we had a judge come out, as if we already didn't know, as if the top constitutional scholar in the country, Professor Erwin Chemerinsky, can come out and tell us that 2 months ago that don't make your stuff race-based, make it lineage-based, as if we didn't know. A LA judge said, if you don't know, now you know.
So, Chris, is this the bill, Assembly Bill number 979?
979, there it is. Existing law, no later than blah, 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 blah. This law will require for corporations to have at least one or more member that's not white, that is a member of a so-called underrepresented community. And this was passed in, I believe, 2020, and the governor signed, and it is now no longer law. Now, let me just remind us what we did this week. Yo, I don't know if I'm saying this, like, if it's too much, y'all let me know, but I feel like we damn near saved reparations.
Legit.
Because how like, right? How messed up would it be? How we gonna feel going through all this work and then come back next year and a judge do what they did in LA on Friday to our reparations bill and say, you know what? It's race in here. Y'all got this all black people thing. Do it for all black people? Nah. That's unconstitutional. That's illegal. Sorry, I know y'all was getting ready to cut checks, but we're gonna get a permanent injunction. That means nobody get nothing, and sorry, so nobody gets nothing. That would have, sorry, I'm just going. Yeah.
No,
like,
you're right. You're right, brother. You're right. All of that work, all of that energy, all of the people's requests would have been boom with one sign from a judge gone, and it would have set us back to a point where we would have had to. It would have been more years before we got back to where we are now. So I am so happy. I'm so proud that folks stuck to their guns. That the folks did the work ahead of time and went and spoke to constitutional lawyers ahead of time. Right? We didn't wait for this to come across our desks, but folks at CJAC literally went and spoke to people in advance, thought about this strategically, and made the moves for our people. So I'm stoked. I'm happy, and don't think I ain't gonna drop that in the comments coming up for the next meeting. Like, this is why. Like, this is exactly why we did this. So,
And just real quick, I just want to mention this point within the bill, since we, had a little time in advance to talk about it. In the bill, it does mention, according to a study by the EEOC, fewer than 1% of Silicon Valley executives and managers are African American. So this is why it's important that we're doing this work, right? And I mean, just goes to your point, Chris and CO, that if that language wasn't in the bill and then further elaborated on, and if Camila Moore didn't, and also shout out to Jovan Scott Lewis and Bradford and Montgomery Stepp, for saying no, this should really be about, and Dr. Brown, can't forget about Dr. Brown, obviously the chair, saying no, this should really be about those people who it's harmed, right? I don't know if y'all want to talk about this, but I did kind of hear this thing where it was like, well, it might exclude, I don't know, was the figure like around 200 some thousand like Black immigrants or something like that? And if they just went to just lineage based, that there might be that particular about a number. Did y'all hear that, or am I just hearing things could be excluded? And
I heard a number like 179,000, and they're like framing it as if, that's just a drop in the bucket. Why would you guys be so selfish? Why would you guys not include this group? It's such a small amount. But like you guys see from all of this race based, we can't include them even if we wanted to. And the fact that, reparations is about atonement. I mean, you can't include somebody else in on your apology, or it just waters down your apology. I'm sorry I hurt you, but here's something for everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in on that real quick too, because Kim, you said everything. I don't even know why I'm jumping in, because you said everything. I will say this though. I'm glad you read that part in the bill, you Moya, about the diversity statistic and Silicon Valley and fewer than 1% of Silicon Valley.
I was just in San Jose last night. I did not see one Black person. No lie.
Right. And now, so that's the argument though, right? That people make for why we got to include all Black people, because hey, all black people, regardless of where they came from, when they got here, whether or not they are descendant and are now an American freedman or not, they're in that 1% of people who in that Silicon Valley stat. Well, Professor Erwin Chemerinsky, the top constitutional scholar in the country, probably in the world. Big shout out to Marcus Champion, by the way, who gave testimony this week. Fire testimony from Marcus, who I mean was just fire. He also referred to Professor Chemerinsky as probably the top constitutional scholar in the world. I just went back yesterday and rewatched Professor Chemerinsky's testimony, and he said that when the courts have gotten cases like, hey, we need to do this thing specifically for this race on race because of the history, and like it was bad for all these racial groups of people before, for this particular racial group of people before, so now we need to do something to correct it. I may agree with that personally, but the courts don't give a damn. And the courts have said that. They've literally said remedying past harms against a racial group is not a compelling government interest for your race-based policy. Get it out of here. Over and over and over again. So they say, yeah, we use race against you in the past, but you can't use race to fit you in the future. I don't like that personally, but that's what the court said.
Wow, man. All right, so I want to have us play a few videos and especially give flowers to Camila Moore. I think we have that interview on MSNBC, but before we do that, I'd like to read the article that we're referring to, the AB 979. Is that right? AB, what is it again? What was it again, Chris?
Yep, you got it right. 979.
Okay. All right. So a Los Angeles judge rules Friday that California's landmark law mandating that corporations diversify their boards with members from certain racial, ethnic, or LGBT groups is unconstitutional. The brief ruling granted summary judgment to Judicial Watch, a conservative legal group that sought a permanent injunction against the measure that was signed into law last year. The ruling didn't explain the judge's reasoning. The measure requires corporate boards of publicly traded companies with a main executive office in California to have a member from an, quote, underrepresented community, end quote, including LGBT, Black, Latino, Asian, Native American, or Pacific Islander. The lawsuit argued that violated the state's constitutional equal protection clause. The decision declared unconstitutional one of the most blatant and significant attacks in the modern era on constitutional prohibitions against discrimination, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton said in a statement. Messages seeking comment from the state were immediately returned Friday evening. However, in its court's filings, the state argued that the measure didn't discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in the operation of public employment, public education, or public contracting. No companies have been fined, however, and the state argued that no tax dollars actually had been used to enforce the measure. The law requires corporations to include at least one member of an underrepresented community on their boards of directors by December 31st of last year, either by adding a seat or filing a vacant one. By December 31st of this year, each corporation must include a minimum number of such members based on the total size of the board. A diversity of boards report issued in March by the Secretary of State found that about 300 out of some 700 corporations had complied. However, half of the corporations didn't file the required disclosure statement.
There it is. Right there. There it is.
So here, Chris, where it says, let's see, public employment, public education, or public contracting. Now, is that what Holder was trying to say? Oh, we just ignore those industries so we can move forward with all lives reparations.
Yeah, that was exactly what Miss Holder was the argument Miss Holder was making, not just last week or this week, but last month, that, well, because Section 31 of the California Constitution, Prop 209, says that you can't spend any money on any racial group of people in public contracting, public employment, and public education, then we should just not do none of that and then do other stuff and then try to get it. First of all, that's unthinkable. That's a non-starter. We gonna leave. We said we was mad about this last month, right? We gonna leave out our kids. We gonna leave out our businesses, and we gonna leave out jobs. Hell no. Nah, I want all of that. We want all of that inside of the reparations. I mean, go ahead, CEO. Sorry, go ahead.
Nah, I'm like feeling your energy. We're all in that same space. Like, those are major swaths. Those are major sections to cut out. That's like saying, "Oh yeah, fam, come on over. Just leave your left arm." What? It's part of the whole. It's part of the whole. We can't go without it. And it doesn't make sense to go without it. It leaves way too much money and opportunity on the table for us.
Yeah, that's billions of dollars. tens of billions of dollars, potentially when we make this an ongoing thing, potentially hundreds of billions of dollars. We just going to leave on the table and do just so we could potentially not trigger a Prop 209 Section 31 challenge. By the way, Professor Erwin Chemerinsky addressed that too. He said, you could try, but that don't get you around, guess what? The 14th Amendment, which is the granddaddy of our own state's Prop 209. So don't get you around the daddy of Prop 209, which is the 14th Amendment, which says don't do nothing specifically for one racial group of people. And that applies across the country. So it's not one, and it applies to everything and anything you do. It ain't just contracting, education, and jobs. So let me get this right. We're gonna exclude tens, hundreds of billions of dollars just to get challenged and thrown out with less later? Nah, never.
And I mean, you guys can elaborate on this or comment on what I'm about to say. But for me, it's like if there was only 2 people that qualified and were eligible for it, then so be it. It would be just those 2 people, right? This is what it's, I mean, hopefully it's going to be more than that, right? But yeah, I mean,
The people, man.
yeah, I mean, 2 people, that'd be crazy, right? Yeah, 2 people, we got reparations. But
80 to 90% of us who are Black in California are descendants of U.S. slavery. So that community of eligibility that we defined in Tuesday's vote, that community of eligibility, think about it. So California, let's think about California's Black population as 100%. So there's about 15% maybe Black immigrants in California. So that means 80 to 90%, 85 to 90% of Black Californians are in this community of eligibility. And then it's going to be our job over the next year, 2, 3, to actually work to get all of those eligible people actually able to satisfy whatever documentation or whatever types of records and confirmation of their eligibility that we create. So yeah, and yeah, it's way, I expect when we're done, like I'm shooting for 100% of the eligible community, like 100% of those who are eligible. I want to get something. 100% of it, and that's what we're going to go for.
Yeah, we've got to get to those vulnerable populations. I misspoke. I did see a Black person in San Jose yesterday. It was a homeless woman on the street.
wow. That is a shame, man. That is really a shame. Yeah, the homeless situation out in California is crazy. I mean, within the past 10, 15 years, it's just gotten worse. And when the pandemic hit, I mean, it just doubled, people out on the streets. And from Sacramento to LA to San Francisco, especially in the big cities, I don't know about the Central Valley or not, but I know for a fact, those 3 places that are mentioned, it's really bad. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's almost close to quote unquote, and I don't like to use these terms like third world or anything like that, but it's really bad. It's really bad out here.
Yeah, the numbers shot up. The number of folks who literally have no place and are now living on the street, as well as the number of folks who are living out of their cars and can't afford a place to live, but haven't lost everything, so they're literally just living out of their cars. It's quite atrocious, and I look forward to, especially out here in LA. We know Black people are 40% of the homeless population here, so I'm looking forward to getting reparations in their hands, so we can help change.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say real quick. I just maybe honest opinion. I should write it down. Did we even mention the homeless? I don't even think we did. Right?
Let's check that list, because there should be some. I think you had HUD on there.
I think we have SHRA, one of these nonprofits is supposed to be distributing the rent relief money, and they're doing a terrible job. They got all this money in hand, and people still getting put out on the streets because they, not able to, for some reason, get the money to the people that it's intended to help.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if we need to further clarify that on there, but do y'all think that just having HUD and some of those other organizations will be, explicit enough? Makes sense. It's a question.
Yeah, I can make a quick little note on the HUD regarding the homeless population, but I'm sure that this will make the point. It'll get it across.
Gotcha.
And also too, just so I want to ask, did y'all see the Maxine Waters clip when she told the homeless people to go home?
That was not a good moment for her.
That was a bad look, B. That was a bad look. And yeah, it ties into the eligibility conversation in this way, because we were just saying how there was an argument made to exclude jobs and contracts for businesses and education from our reparations in order to try to get around Prop 209 and do something race-based instead. So how are you going to help the homeless people? So yeah, we're going to get the direct compensation. And yeah, maybe we get the housing too. But but ain't no jobs then? Ain't no education for them then? And ain't no contract for them to start no businesses? That's just another way that trying to make the argument that not doing public education, public contract, and public employment just to try to get around Prop 209 and do something race-based, which, by the way, doesn't get you around the 14th Amendment. This is another example of why that is a bad idea, a non-starter. And that's why it failed. Ultimately, what happened this week was those arguments lost. The argument to do that lost. It lost with national eyes on it. It lost. And I'm glad we can move forward and actually start to talk about how we actually implement what we decided, and also start talking about the forms of reparations. Could you imagine us going to a conversation about the forms of reparations, and one, knowing that maybe none of it will happen at all, but having to then just make cutouts and take out public education, public contracting, and public employment just so, come on, that is not, I'm glad. Thank y'all so much this week, yo. I don't know if I'm saying it and if it's too much, but like, I feel like inside we saved reparations. Right?
Go ahead.
Nah, bro, you good. There would not be no there would most likely not be no reparation. Nobody. You want to talk about all black people? It would have been a no black people reparations. Nobody would have no reparations if we lost this vote this week. Thank y'all so much.
I'm so glad. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. And, especially since from the beginning, we wanted this to be a blueprint for federal reparations. So hopefully this will, lead the charge in that.
Definitely. California right now is the tip of the spear. So what happens here, I truly believe, just as Kim just said, the rest of the country will follow.
Most definitely. Well, fam, we're an hour in, and thanks everybody. We're not done, so don't go anywhere. We're not done. I just want to say we're hour in, actually hour 10, and this has been a wonderful build as usual. And we really appreciate our man, Chris L coming through, joining the fam once again.
Hey, I'm just a squirrel in your world.
Doing your thing, representing, man. Yeah, you be getting some serious love, bro. As a matter of fact, I think, did I get an article? Like, I think NARC, didn't they write some like article or something like that?
Oh, don't do that to me, man. You gonna put me with that?
Sorry. But no, it's not a sorry. I mean, we got love for everybody, right? Shout out to Cobra, NARC, and all them. Don't say too much anything in the chat. We trying to keep it peaceful, man.
But shout out, like way out, like out over there, away from our reparations claim out.
But yeah, man, didn't they like write an article or something about the eligibility California thing that recently happened? I don't know.
So they took an article that was written by a good brother of mine, by the way, Antonio Ray Harvey. Shout out to Tony Harvey
Shout
up
out.
here,
Sacramento
California
Observer.
Black Media, Sacramento Observer. Who Tony has been doing a lot of great boots on the ground work to just cover what's been going on and like writing about it. So they took a story that he did back in like early March and then just just shared it on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an old story, but it appeared in an unexpected place, shall we say. So let's give love to Tony Harvey. Big love to him because his work is getting shared a lot of different places. So big love and thank y'all who give me love, but I don't deserve. We all deserve the love together because we've been doing such great work together, and we're only going to continue to do amazing work together. So as much love as you give me, I'm gonna give it right back to you because I think we all deserve it, especially this week.
Yeah, I think in the article, if I'm correct, that was in reference to the live stream that we did in Richmond, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess let's start giving some flowers out. Kim, do you want to run some of those videos that we have queued up somewhere?
All right, let's take a look at this one from MSNBC, and this was with Tiffany Cross. I'll let you guys make your own decision about what you think of this video, but people were saying hashtag Tiffany double cross on the social media street. So let's see what they talk about.
But you're saying race-based policies are deemed illegal, but this really isn't race-based because my question to you wasn't why aren't all, like every single black person included. My question is specifically for people who have been here since enslavement, whose families were certainly harmed by policies like Jim Crow, like the war on drugs, et cetera. So, I don't know that including that group of people would necessarily be illegal, according to what you were saying.
Well, potentially it could, because a harms-based model, particularly in a multicultural California, would actually would allow for other non-people of color to actually be included. And so, again, race-based standards are illegal under constitutional law standards, and we're not saying that we're not going to face some type of challenge, but a lineage-based approach would be the least likely to be challenged under constitutional law standards.
Case in point, what just happened?
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird because they didn't play the question, right? So the question was, the question was, why did you decide how you decided? And then Camilla gave a fabulous, strong, fantastic answer. And then Tiffany's follow-up was strange. It was actually confusing to me because it sounded like she was making the case that it should be race neutral and lineage neutral, which means that anybody of any race who suffered any harm should be getting reparations. That was very strange. And so that to me was confusing. And it was strange to hear that argument, or at least the implication of that argument. And again, think about what you heard. It was, I don't think it should be all black people, but what about anyone who suffered any harm during that time? So that means that if you was like Chinese and here during that time and you suffered that harm, some type of harm, if you was a Native American and you was here during that time and you suffered some type of harm, you would be in our reparations. That would open it up to everybody. Not that was such a confused response, but I think I know why the response was so confused. Is because Camilla's response to the question was so strong that the follow-up was the follow-up didn't make sense. And then you obviously had the other follow-up from the other other guests, which I thought was not accurate and gaslighting in a lot of ways too. But yeah, that's my perception.
All right, well, let's take a look at this ABC interview to see if it adds any more context. It's a little bit longer, a different interviewer, of course. Let's see what they have to say.
Chairperson of the California Reparations Task Force, Camila Moore, joins me now with a little bit more on all of this. Camila, thank you for being here. I know that California is the only state in the U.S. to move ahead with a study and a plan for reparations like this. So how has this process been to try to figure this all out?
Hi, thank you for having me. We started the California Reparations Task Force meeting in June of last year. And since June, we've held a series of virtual public hearings on a variety of topics, but starting with the transatlantic slave trade, to the institution of slavery, to more contemporary harms against African Americans in California and the United States more broadly, around predatory lending practices, environmental racism, racism in banking, tax, and labor, amongst other issues as well. And so we've had an ongoing conversation about who should be eligible for reparations, and we finally resolved that question yesterday afternoon.
Now, what were some of the key issues that you faced during all these ongoing discussions and debates?
Right. And so the framing around the community of eligibility to the task force was around, should it be race-based, so all Black Californians, regardless of national or even immigrant origin, or should it be lineage-based, so where you can trace your ancestry to an enslaved or free African-American person who was living in the United States prior to the 19th century. And so there were amazing arguments on both sides. But 5 task force members decided, along with myself, that a lineage-based approach would be most apt.
So, Camila, how significant do you think was, one, the creation of this task force and finally reaching this decision?
Well, I think, of course, it's history in the making, and it's a long time coming. The history of lineage-based reparations advocacy literally starts during enslavement, with Belinda Sutton and Callie House, who were one of the first African-American women to advocate for reparations for ex-slaves, to Queen Mother Audley Moore in the 1960s and the Black Panther Party, who also fought for reparations in their platforms, to grassroots activists today who were responsible for the enactment of AB 3121, along with Secretary of State Shirley Weber, and of course, California Governor Gavin Newsom.
So why do you think these reparations, one, why are they necessary? And what will this compensation look like? Will these be cash payments or will it come in other forms?
So the task force still has to decide what forms of compensation would look like. And we've actually hired an economic consultant team that includes Dr. Sandy Darity, William Spriggs, and other economists to help the task force crunch the numbers, essentially, in terms of what compensation could look like. And to your point about why reparations is important, we know that slaves were promised 40 acres and a mule, and that was rescinded due to discrimination. And so, reparations is about accounting for that broken promise of reconstruction and repairing the transferred harms to the direct descendants of those enslaved people.
And I know this is a really complicated question, but as best as you can sum it up, how did you link those wrongs with how they're impacting people still today?
Well, that's a really good question, because in the statute itself, AB 3121, it mandates the task force to study and develop reparations proposals on the lingering negative effects of slavery against a particular group of people, and that being freed African slaves and their descendants. So there are many different lingering or badges and incidents of slavery, like homelessness, like mass incarceration, amongst many other factors that are still a badge and incident of slavery in 2022 that has to be eradicated in order for true equity to be achieved. And so that's the historic task that we have as a 9-member task force.
All right, Camila Moore, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Camilla doing her thing.
I'm sorry, fam. Just real quick. All right.
So nice had to do it twice.
I had to drop double bombs. First of all, that was a great interview, and actually, the interview asked some great questions.
Yeah, my takeaway was it was a lot more unbiased of an interview. It seemed like she really, wanted to understand the process and a lot more about it, where the other one was just like trying to just get to the bottom of almost undermining our eligibility. I mean, it be your own people. What's up with that?
I hate to bring up the Will Smith and Chris Rock debacle as well. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's the post-traumatic slave syndrome or something. I mean, I don't know what it is. This whole some of us not being on code and just being so dysfunctional in our communities. Like it's pretty bad. I mean, especially when you see the so-called affluent ones, up there doing some crazy stuff and trying to undermine each other for some biscuits. I'm sorry. But I'm just trying to understand just this whole point where we're at. And I think that's another thing. Hopefully we mentioned that on the proposals, and I'm sure that we're going to have some proposals on mental health too as well. And I think we really need to dig into post-traumatic slave issues that happen, because obviously it still applies today. Because within the last pass at the Oscars, obviously we saw with Tiffany Cross, and this is just opinions that we saw, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was just just trying to get down to what she was wanting to talk about. But I don't know. Some people may have thought that she was undercutting, Camila Moore. But anyway, I'll land my plane.
I thought so just on the MSNBC interview, by the way, there are some really, so if you go to the CJEC Twitter and the CJEC Instagram and Facebook and look at the clips of the questions and responses to Tiffany Cross that Camilla gave, look at the actual responses, because the actual responses are actually brilliant. But listen to the questions and the setup to the questions that Tiffany Cross and her team gave to Chair Moore, Camilla Moore, and come just use your own good sense and your own intuition and your own gut feeling. Does it feel like those were fair questions? And also look at the fact that the other guest who was on, who was anti-lineage, who was pro race-based reparations, pro illegal race-based reparations, pro unconstitutional illegal race-based reparations. Look at the amount of time that person got to talk. And then it was like Tiffany Cross had her anti-lineage lean, and then the other guest had his anti-lineage illegal reparations lean, and then they gave themselves a lot of time to talk, and then Miller one or two questions, maybe three questions, or maybe 2.5 with so that half was like a follow-up, and then they talked for the rest of the program, and even the guest got the last 2 questions, and then it was over. So proud of Camilla for doing an amazing job. And yeah, just use your own inside voice and actually just your own gut feeling, and listen to those questions, listen to the setup, listen to the language they're using and the graphics they're putting up and the information that they're leaving out. They were bringing up this, and Kim, you were talking about it earlier, this 170,000+ people gonna be left out. They didn't say nothing about the 2 million people who is inside of it, though. So they didn't say nothing about the 2 million people who are going to get something. But facts, right? 175,000 who, by the way, those folks are from other parts of the world. They have their own reparations claims in their own parts of the world. And this is for us. And then there was the implication, well, if we leave them out, they're not going to support it. Then they're not allies. They're not really our friends. because you're not supposed to be getting something from me just that and then you are my friend. Like if you're my friend, you're gonna ride for me whether or not you get a piece of it or not. If you just ride for me, if you get a piece of it, then you my employee. You work for me. You're not really my friend. You just getting paid. So, and we have a lot of Black allies who are not of the descendant freedmen community. The person who introduced the language of the resolution itself. See, listen, they don't really want this kind of energy, but they're gonna get it over these next few weeks and months, because now we won now. So now our chest is out now, right? So they on the ropes, and they gonna have to run, because the person who introduced the motion for lineage is a Jamaican brother. How you gonna say we divisive for much longer? How you gonna say we dividing Black people for much longer when the person who introduced it is a Jamaican brother? He said, I don't want none of y'all's. Y'all get it, and I'm gonna help y'all get it.
A true ally. Yeah. So swing by CJAC Twitter page so you can look at that entire, I believe it was 3 sections that were out there circulating on that interview that they can check out at the CJAC page. But here's a tweet, just to kind of summarize, that Tiffany Cross put out yesterday in regard to this interview. It says, you'll hear some folks online give the impression that only Black Americans were enslaved. However, as most informed folks know, this is not true. Certain hashtags are really anti-immigrant and discriminatory against other descendants of the enslaved. What's that got to do with our justice claim here? Please.
Folks really be all over the place with this. It's like they just be grasping for straws and then trying to stick them together.
Yeah, I mean, they have a claim, and they're welcome to open a claim against those the governments that enslaved them. Right?
Right. And we would be supportive of that.
That's a fact. Like, and there's a question in the chat too. I actually want to get to this question because it's a great question from Labor. I'll be messing it. LA born, DC loves. I'll be messing that up. Question: Chair Moore did a good job, but after the interview is going on MSNBC, MSM show, helpful to our cause that we cannot control the narrative. I say, yeah, it is, and here's why: because we have the winning arguments. And also, they have a big platform. So it's actually against their interest to let us go up there and actually talk. And if they're smart, they wouldn't let us up there, to be honest with you. Because as soon as we start kicking that reel, first of all, what Tiffany Cross is saying, I don't know what she's talking about. Hashtags, I don't know what she's talking about. This ain't got nothing to do with no hashtag. This got to do with actual policy that's being built now in an actual official government process, where an official decision was made based on legal precedent, constitutional law, scholarship, common sense, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know what that's about. That might be a deflection and a distraction, because you go back to Chair Moore's actual answers to the questions. The law itself, AB 3121, says what we say. The author law AB 3121 says what we say, and it just makes common sense. So,
all right, fam. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We appreciate everybody for coming through. Chris, CO, Kim, just holding it down, man. We're holding it down, and thanks everybody in the comments. If you want to hit us up at etnmediagroup@gmail.com, hit us up with anything. Please support our Reparations Now documentary. I'm sure we had that plenty in the link. So anyway, that's about it. So we're going to go ahead and sign out. But before we do, we want to leave you with this video from the California Task Force. So on that note, y'all, love, peace, and reparations.
Peace, love, and lineage-based reparations.
Peace, fam.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay. The original motion. Okay. I'm going to call the roll for the original motion as stated at the top of the page. Chair Moore.
Aye.
Vice Chair Brown,
Aye.
Member Bradford,
Aye.
Member Grills,
No.
Member Holder.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. Member Holder voted yes. Aye.
No.
She voted.
Can you repeat? No.
Thank you. Member Holder voted no. Nay. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer.
No.
I'm sorry. The paper is hiding you all, so I can't see if you can
I said
speak.
no.
Thank you. Member Lewis. I'm sorry. Member Jones Sawyer voted no. Member Lewis.
Aye.
Member Lewis voted aye. Member Tamaki.
No.
Member Tamaki voted nay. Member Montgomery Stepp.
Aye.
Member Montgomery Stepp voted aye. Madam Chair, there were 9 members voting. 5 members voted aye, and 4 members voted nay.
Thank you. There are 9 members voting, 5 members voted aye, 4 members voted nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. So the community of eligibility will be based on lineage determined by an individual being an African American, descendant of a chattel enslaved person, or the descendant of a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. And we will use this community of eligibility standard to instruct the economic consultant team with next steps.